Sometimes you find something in a video game that makes you think, well, time to write. This is
I
Right
never
Over
do.
Dive's Top 10 Most Mysterious Discoveries in Video Games, Part 6. Brought to
I
you
wish
by
I did.
Crossout. Crossout is an awesome game, bringing back vehicular combat for next-gen consoles and PC. Imagine if
Max.
Twisted Metal was teleported to the world of Mad
Yep.
Max and
Yeah,
given the endless
that's what I was
creation
thinking.
flexibility of Spore. Jump in and create a
Mad
vehicle
Max
from scratch
something.
with hundreds of options before setting across the wasteland, where you can play online with or against tons of other players. Plus,
Looks
it's
interesting.
free. Use my link down below to download Crossout on PC, Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5 or previous gen consoles and
that's
receive
new.
an exclusive bonus
We
pack
wish.
today. God of War Ragnarok. Thanks to Alexander for submitting this mystery through oddhair.com. God of War Ragnarok is a sequel to 2018's God of War, released PlayStation 4 and 5 last November in 2022, while being the 9th installment in the overall series, garnering as much universal acclaim as the 2018 release.
How do you not
God of
finish
War
on an
fans
even
were
10?
more than happy to the conclusion of the Norse era of the franchise, though a
Santa
mystery
Monica?
has managed to lurk among the player base after the game's conclusion, as after the game is finished, the player can find Tyr, the Aesir God of War, hidden across 7 different
after
realms
the
in the
game.
game. A fun little extra that unlocks some additional hidden dialogue for Tyr, and that's all players thought there was, until game director Eric Williams was on IGN Games and said this.
I mean, if you pay attention to Tyr, I mean, there's a reason why he does the 6 animations that he does at the end of the game.
I'm sorry, say that again?
From here, players have tried to figure out the meaning of Tyr's poses since, but have still been unable to solve what they could possibly mean. Some theorize his
Game looks
poses
so
point in the
good.
direction of a button
Holy
sequence. No one
Massive
has
Raven.
figured out where these buttons would be inputted in the game if that were the case. Others have theorized his poses spell out the word
Could
Celtic
be an X.
somehow, while others think the nature of his poses in some way reveal the setting of the next game, which if I had to guess, based on the style of poses I see here, I'm pretty certain the next game is going to take place in a yoga studio.
Well,
Cuphead. Thanks to
Yeah,
Aiden
what
Martin
about-
for submitting
where
this
does
mystery
yoga
through
come
oddhair.com. Cuphead is a striking
Japan?
2017 retro-style
Let's say it
platformer
could be
model
wrong.
after the golden age of
I don't
animation.
think that's
However,
it.
some players managed to find something in the game that appears
Be
to be one of the
interesting.
furthest things they expected of a game inspired by the 1930s jazz age, as on completely random and super rare occasions for a small handful of players. The game fades to black and randomly loads up what appears to be lyrics from Eminem's 1999 hit, My Name Is. It's completely unknown how or why this happens, and what Eminem has to do with Cuphead. There's
No
not go off of
Eminem
at this
a fan
point,
of
but
Cuphead?
unless Eminem
be
shows up to
dope.
drop some bars in Cuphead, who
That
knew
would
that
be-
after all this time,
that would be
Cuphead
probably
was
the
the real
craziest
Slim
thing in a
Shady
video
after all.
game.
Warframe.
Yeah, that'd probably be
Thanks
the
to Echo
craziest
Eagle submitted straight through oddheader.com.
thing in
Warframe is a
video
highly
games
popular
ever, to have Eminem guest appear as a playable character in Cuphead. I don't know how the that would work. It would make absolutely no sense, but it would be hilarious. Tell me I'm wrong. Eminem as a playable character in Cuphead. Let's do it. Make it happen.
Free-to-play third-person shooter action multiplayer RPG that's been available since 2013 on Windows.
Let's,
later released on next and last-gen consoles as well as
what
Nintendo Switch
unsolved
with
mystery
mobile
could be
devices planned
here?
for later this year. At the end of 2021, developer Digital Extremes introduced a quest called the New War into Warframe. In one particular moment during the quest has
haven't
been the
played
subject of
Warframe
contentious debate among
in
its
a while.
base. As at the end of the quest, a mysterious entity named the Man in the Wall arrives as a literal man in the wall and delivers this cryptic message.
Nope.
It's entirely unknown
Something on
what the
top.
Man in the Wall said, though it was largely thought to be the names of items called Requiem mods in the game. That was seemingly disproven, however, when lead sound designer Eric Preston said later at TennoCon 2022 that he looked at people's attempts to decipher the words in the game and said no one solved it.
I've heard some YouTube videos where they've pitched it up, where you can really get close, but I can tell you that no one has found it yet.
Some
Get back
weren't
out there,
convinced the
people.
words weren't Requiem mod names, but it's been agreed by most that a few of those sounds don't match the correct pronunciations of any of those names, or any known existing
try to figure
language
it
in the
out?
game, leading players to a number of possibilities. They are
Let me
Requiem
know.
mods, but are said incorrectly or
We start
off for
playing
some
Warframe
reason. No
and
one
try
has
to figure it
deciphered the
out.
words correctly, or it's another language in Warframe that has yet to be revealed. Let's give it one more go. Yeah, I got it.
Nope. Yeah,
Genshin
same.
Impact. Thanks to Gilamesh and Torchy for
Goddamn
submitting this
Genshin
mystery
Impact.
on OddHeader.com. Genshin Impact is a free-to-play anime-style action RPG released in 2020 for consoles, PC, and
Oh,
mobile.
well, that
the
wasn't
game is
that
well
long ago.
received
I
for
thought
its
it came out
immersive
earlier
open
than
world,
that.
with updates added to the game every 6 weeks to expand the universe. However, the Genshin universe already
COVID
contains
probably
more than
helped
most
it out
players
a
know,
lot.
as data miners made a discovery in the game files in 2022 that doesn't seem to belong anywhere inside the land of Tavot. As data miners revealed, lurking in the files was this behemoth model of the character Shockwave from the Transformers franchise.
Oh,
Looks
what?
like Decepticons are about to invade Genshin Impact.
Well,
it's not as though crossovers
that's-
are unlikely, as Aloy from Horizon
Oh,
Zero
wait,
Dawn was
there
made
is a new
available as a playable character
Transformers,
for a limited time in 2021.
movie coming out,
though
so that
evidence
would
suggests
make
Shockwave may
sense.
have been hiding in the game files since release. Aloy, however,
Really?
matches the cute anime girl style of the game. Shockwave, on the other hand, not so much. Shockwave's not exactly waifu material. BioShock Infinite. Thanks to Jackson
Yeah.
Abbott for submitting this mystery through OddHeader.com. BioShock Infinite is the third installment
Can't
in
wait
the
for the new
retro-futuristic
BioShock
first-person shooter franchise, which is one of my favorites of all time and has been covered on the channel for a large number of head-scratching mysteries, one of which still remains unsolved to this day, 10 years after its release. As in several parts of the game, roaming across the sky city of Columbia, observant players notice if you listen extremely closely, there appears to be a long, low-frequency noise you can hear in the background. And by taking this ambient noise and speeding it up significantly, you can hear this.
Actual hidden song?
A strange song
Really
on
rough.
acoustic guitar plays, with lyrics too hard to discern what
Yeah.
exactly they're singing, though many believe they can hear the words time, drown, and catch up to me. The singing sounds like a female voice when sped to 10 times the normal speed, but at 8 times the speed, it
mean,
actually
time.
sounds like a male voice.
Oh, wow, that's weird.
Confusing the matter as to what speed this audio should actually be played at to reveal the intended hidden song. Some players notice that parts of the song sound as if they're backwards, while other parts are not, and that the audio could be multiple sound clips Frankenstein together, making it even harder to decipher what this audio is hiding or what any of it means. The only theory that anyone's got is that based on the words that can supposedly be heard, it could be hinting towards some of the events that occurred near the end of the game. Hopefully one day we'll determine the speed of the recording, what exactly is being said, or why it's hidden here in the first place. But until then, we're stuck with this creepy discovery that, despite not knowing what it is,
You
has
go
been
back
stuck
and
in
play
my head
this
all
game.
day after editing the sequence.
Go
Please,
through all the
make it stop.
BioShock games before the new one comes out.
Tinykin. Thanks to Hajime the Fool and Just
The
Burp for spinning
fuck
this
is
mystery
this?
through the OddHeader Discord.
PC
Tinykin
game?
is a visually striking
Switch?
3D puzzle platformer released in 2022 by indie developer Splash Team. The game follows the Anside space explorer Milo Dane, who can collect and use the Tinykin creatures to help him solve puzzles and get through all the areas of this empty 2-story home. The Tinykin are fairly wholesome and seem to be pretty innocent, with no real combat involved in the game. However, players discovered something that suggests these little guys may be hiding something, as during the final level, by throwing a Tinykin at this poster, you can open a trapdoor that unlocks a secret area. Entering this secret area
something
unlocks
creepy?
an achievement called the Milo Show. After climbing to the top of the room and reaching this window, the Milo Show is revealed to be a 3D model of the house surrounded by some ciphers, with some dots on the house that seem to mark locations. Hajime went back through each level and found in the marked locations are strange hidden eyeballs watching the player's every move.
Creepy.
Raven's Fight on my Discord server attempted to solve the ciphers
Easter
by
eggs
brute
like
force
this.
and was able to partially crack the code, revealing, warning, remove intruder security port living room, exhibition room veranda, bathroom, kitchen, bedroom. The bottom text of the cipher reveals Marvin Air, Con Air, Abather Air, which still has not been
codes?
solved, though some have pointed out that air
Hey.
means hour in French, and Splash Team is based
Or
in
you
France.
have to-
It's also speculated that three of the
never
words
mind.
are names Marvin,
Fuck what I was
Con,
gonna
and
say.
Abather, which some think could relate to the pictures of the 3 people that can be seen around the house. And all of this could have something to do with why they've disappeared. I guess so much for this being an innocent, family-friendly game. Conquer.
Still could be.
Live and Reloaded.
Oh,
Thanks to
shit,
Vital Fleet
Conquer.
for submitting this mystery through oddheader.com. Conquer Live and Reloaded is a
Damn, this is an
2005
old
Xbox
one.
exclusive version of
Yeah,
Rare's notoriously
2005.
edgy N64 classic Conquer's Bad Fur Day. Originally called Conquer Live and Uncut, the
But
game
look,
was
I was only
changed at some
15
point
when
in
this came
development
out.
to
That's
Conquer
crazy.
Live and
But
Reloaded,
yeah.
inexplicably adding more censorship to the original
Wait,
game,
say
which
2005
seemed
or
to defeat the whole
2015?
point of the re-release. And while it's still a mystery why this decision was made, and whether we'll ever see a fully uncensored uncensored version of the game. Vital Fleet discovered another change was made to Live and Reloaded before its release that also doesn't make any sense, as Vital Fleet discovered there was a bounty hunter in the files of a prototype that when they loaded into the game, made Boba Fett, the iconic bounty hunter from Star Wars, unexpectedly appear in the opening menu scene, with one scene here drinking by the bar, and the other by the saloon doors. Vital Fleet asked lead designer Chris Seaver on Twitter the purpose of Boba Fett's appearance in Conquer, and Seaver responded it was just an artist having fun. Although
obviously if they put it in the game fully,
Vital Fleet explained to me there were countless strings referencing the bounty hunter that can be found in the data of the final game, such as for a possible medal that would have unlocked after gaining 1,000 kills with the bounty hunter, along with some sort of bounty point system. There was at one point a sub-menu labeled Bounty Hunting, and there's a weapon in the game data named Bounty Hunter Sniper Rifle, although Vital Fleet was unable to swap the model in. There were also special abilities for the Bounty Hunter which Vital Fleet couldn't determine what they were, but thinks one may have included an ability to fly based on the jetpack on the model. With all of this evidence, there's really only one question that this all comes down to. Why the f*** was Boba Fett supposed to be in Conquer Live and Reloaded?
Just as a Star Wars Easter egg, probably.
G626 for submitting this mystery through oddheader.com.
You're probably thinking about slipping it in and then
auto runner released in 2020 on Steam, iPhone, and iPad. Self-described as an incremental game, where your objective is to run and jump and grab coins as you incrementally unlock new skills and upgrade your gear, eventually getting far enough to significantly speed up the game. Players, however, have noticed something unusually odd that can be spotted in bonus stage 2, as if they managed to get to the very top of section 2, they can see the f*** is that. Unfortunately, as of this time, no one seems to know. Fast. Though some players have reported that after finding the creature, their main menu appeared to be corrupted. While my friend and hacker Slippy Slides determined that this appears to have been removed as far as the latest update. Slippy also managed to hack the game to pause the running so he could get a better look at the creature, only for it to immediately disappear. Now I'm really getting creeped out. One player on YouTube even reported finding something weirder than that, as the game was suddenly interrupted by the normal intro screen, which seemed to play without any noticeable difference. That is until...
Oh shit.
When you're launching a new product with a tight deadline...
Probably just an Easter egg. Regular old Easter egg.
Let's just move on to the next game. Alice, Madness Returns. Thanks to Frankie for submitting this mystery through oddheader.com. Alice Madness Returns is the 2011 sequel to the 2000 cult classic American McGee's Alice, the action-adventure game that follows Alice into a gothic horror version of Wonderland. Madness Returns took nearly 10 years to hit shelves after the release of the first game, and creator American McGee stated it might have taken longer if he had been able to remove some content and some other things that he would have wanted. Frankie, however, seems to have countered one of those things, as in the Oriental Grove level of the game. Frankie thinks they discovered something that wasn't meant to be found.
I can't remember. I think
level, Alice must pull a series of chains to solve some platforming puzzles in the environment. And on some of these chains, Frankie saw something that many players were probably too distracted to notice.
I remember hearing about this game.
Closely,
looks so good
face
still.
Changes during this animation, making her take on the appearance of a seemingly offensive Asian stereotype. Frankie theorizes the developer Spicy Horse intended to use this face for Alice during the entire level, but was cut because it probably occurred to them it looked offensive. The development team Spicy Horse was based in Shanghai and employed local talent, so while the developers probably didn't intend Alice's alternate face to be offensive, maybe it was cut at the last minute after realizing how the game's Western audience might have perceived the change. Or maybe the development team was wondering what the hell they were working on the whole time, before they eventually voiced their concerns and fixed it. It's still unknown why Alice has a potentially offensive face only when pulling this lever, but from the looks of things, this is probably what American McGee was talking about when he said there was a few things he wished he could have removed from the game. The Witcher 3.
Makes
Wild
sense.
Hunt. The Witcher 3 is
definitely
a claim action RPG developed by
whether intentional or unintentional, a little offensive.
Popular Cyberpunk 2077, which, despite its rough release in late 2020, has gone on to be a pretty awesome.
I've been playing through this with what little off time I have, and I mean it's better than when it first came out, but I still have people that do weird shit all the time. I have textures popping in and out, vehicles or motorcycles when they move fast, the like mirror will do some weird fucking effect where it just keeps repeating itself over and over. It's got a long ways to go. Hopefully they throw out some patches before the DLC comes out, but yeah, as much as I like it, I still think the story's really good. I think it has some pretty fun moment-to-moment gameplay. it still needs some TLC. It still could be better. You still can't shoot out the windows of your vehicle. You know, there's still a bunch of stuff they said we could do, we still can't do. But I mean, I don't know. I felt like back when it first updated for next gen, I felt like is when it was the best. And now I feel it's starting to slip again.
Game, especially thanks to its next-gen patch released in February 2022.
That one.
CD Projekt Red didn't forget about The Witcher 3 in 2022 either, as they also released The Witcher 3 next-gen update at the end of 2022. It only took 24 hours, however, for players to immediately discover something they knew wasn't in The Witcher 3 before the update was released. As by traveling to the destroyed Bastion in Valen, they noticed there were switches that weren't there before on 3 small ruins surrounding the area. After flipping these switches, this earth elemental suddenly appeared between the ruins, ready for an ass whooping. After promptly kicking his ass, a portal suddenly appeared on a hill in the distance.
Nice.
Approaching the portal caused it to activate, and entering it teleported them on top of a nearby bastion. As players made their way to the bottom, they managed to find themselves in a dark room filled with nearly impossible to kill specters. If they could manage before the specters killed them, there were 2 crystals on both sides of the next room that, when activated with the art spell, opened a portal up in the middle of the room that simply booted players back outside. However, going back and further exploring the room with the specters, players discovered there was a symbol on the wall they'd never seen before. Players were shocked to notice a resemblance to a design that can be found in another mystery I've talked about a couple times before in Cyberpunk, as the design in the middle of the symbol was exactly like the design on the FF06 B5 statues in Cyberpunk. FF06.
So I guess if you played The Witcher, if you haven't, this is gonna be news to you. In The Witcher, there's an Easter egg that talks about where it's Ciri and Geralt talking, and Ciri is telling him about how she's been traveling through different timelines or universes and timelines, something like that. And she says one of them, essentially, she describes cyberpunk. Like, she talks about how they have metal in and on their faces and weird clothing and whatnot. She's essentially got teleported to Night City somehow for a brief second. So maybe, yeah, it's a good point. I never even thought about that. Holy shit. So they were both updated around the same time. It's very possible that there is going to be missions that kind of, link these two up now. Like, I was always hoping for that maybe somehow we'd see Ciri. Maybe I think I might have heard about that. Maybe that's already in Cyberpunk. It's Ciri Easter egg where you can find someone that looks like Ciri, who is Ciri. So maybe they're going to start connecting these two games more.
B5 being a code that was found on the statues hidden throughout Cyberpunk.
Yeah, I still haven't found any of those.
And when developer Paolo Sasko was asked about it, numerous times he reiterated that it was indeed a mystery with a solvable solution that players would eventually crack. Thing is, it's already been years and we still haven't made any progress on the mystery. Players searched the area where the initial discovery was found and realized there was a new addition to the area that they didn't notice before. As only in this recent next-gen update did CD Projekt Red add this single dead body sitting outside the tower with the symbol. The only sign of any possible clue on the body was something around his finger. One last Witcher 3 discovery seemed to finally move players a step forward in the right direction, as they figured out that by using the Piercing Cold mutation, they could actually defeat the specters in the tower, which was the only way to defeat them without mods. The only problem is after this was discovered, it was quickly patched out so the move no longer killed the specters. Damn. Guess we haven't made any progress at all. Well, at least we now know we're not supposed to kill the specters, so guess there's at least that. And thanks again to Crossout for sponsoring this video. As a huge fan of vehicle combat games like Interstate 76,
I want to check that out, because that makes me real curious. Maybe we're going to start seeing some crossover content in between the two.
Crazy amount of depth for an online
they did say there were more missions in The Witcher 3 now, so
tons of weapons, from cannons to laser guns and
maybe we're going to see that come to fruition. So here we go back to Night City, or Geralt go to Night City. Or we're going to take V to
Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, or previous gen
The Witcher universe. I highly doubt that would be fucking pointless, going in there with a bunch of futuristic weapons and shit.
Oddheader.com. Come join the Discord, or even some of you shout.
Another great video from Oddheader.
Thanks again to Slippy Slides for helping me get the footage in this video. Feel free to subscribe to him down below as well. Shout out to Angel the Fox, Ash Photography, Bitwith27, Chat Biscuit, Combat 15.
You guys can start doing this for Patreon, so go check out the Patreon. You know what?